WiLdFiReAJS here. It's time to do that review thing again. This review is brought to you by Grumpy Bob's Emporium in Maryville, Illinois. If it's even remotely crossed your mind that you should check out Dragon Age Inquisition, well, here's what we think you should know. Dragon Age Inquisition is an action role-playing video game developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. It is the sequel to Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, and the third major game in the Dragon Age franchise. The game was released on November 2014 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One video game consoles. Dragon Age Inquisition is such an awesome game. It really is. It's so huge. It's so large in scope. Just the main campaign alone will take you roughly 90 hours to complete. The craziest thing about that is that once you've put in your 90 hours, there is still so much left to do. If you're anything like me, however, it's going to take you much longer than 90 hours just to be satisfied. While the initial zones you start in feel somewhat small and restrictive, although they're not, later zones open up into these vast open-world sandboxes. No matter which direction you go, you're almost guaranteed to find some cave, bandit camp, hidden lair, abandoned ruins, or any number of other things to explore, fight, or harvest. You can literally spend hours just running around a single zone, exploring, fighting bad guys, and discovering new materials, without ever completing a single quest or needing to visit the same areas twice. This is greatly to the game's benefit, as unlike in previous games, I'm looking at you, Dragon Age 2, where BioWare would reuse the same set pieces or levels over and over again for different missions, that's not the case here. Sure, you might have more than one quest to do in the hinterlands, for example, but that doesn't mean you'll be headed to the same area. Each zone is brilliantly large in scope, and the more I explored, the more quests seemed to pop up on the quest map. Which, by the way, is also brilliantly done and extraordinarily useful to use. One of my very first goals I'd set for myself was to kill a dragon. After all, this is Dragon Age. Dragons are these large boss encounters that take good gear, sound strategy, and appropriate use of your team's abilities and skills to conquer, not to mention plenty of potions. 15 hours in, I attempted my first dragon fight. It was the very first one I had ever found, and to my knowledge, the lowest level. It was embarrassing how unequipped I was. 36 hours in, I tried again. I wiped once, and succeeded the second time. It took me about 12 minutes and 26 potions to down the beast. As I stood over its body about to loot it, I thought myself a powerful force to be reckoned with. Then the quest tracker lit up telling me about 9 other dragons and opening a myriad of new quests, crafting options, and more. These other dragons are undoubtedly more powerful and require different skill sets and planning. The idea of working up to and battling 9 more is actually exciting, if not daunting. Fortunately, this is all made quite simple through the well-designed interface for both inventory and gear management, as well as a very thought-out talent tree system. When you create your hero, you choose a rather broad class, in my case, a rogue. This provides you with several talent tree options, and none of them are restricted. You're free to create a character that suits your playstyle. Would you prefer a dual-wielding, in-your-face sort of rogue, or would you prefer one that stands back with a bow and deals range damage? Are you going to use vanishing tricks, sleight of hand, and illusions to deal with foes, or will you choose traps and poisons to get the job done? How about a little bit of all of the above? In Dragon Age Inquisition, that choice is up to you. Combat is visceral and satisfying. I personally prefer to sit in the back and snipe with my bow, but since I'm in command of my entire team, when I get the whim to be a tank, I can simply press a button and switch to that team member. From there, the AI will take over my character and use his abilities based on the preferences I've previously set. While the AI preferences are quite a bit simplified from Dragon Age 2, they work really well. BioWare included Tactical View in this game, which was originally in Dragon Age Origins for PC. It provides a more top-down overview of the action and allows you to more strategically plan out your attack. Queue up actions for your team and hold the right trigger to move time forward so you can watch it all play out. When the camera cooperates, this actually works really well, but I sometimes found that my micromanaging fared worse for me than just letting the AI do its thing based on the preferences I'd already set. For the most part, I feel confident that they'll do what they're supposed to do with only the occasional interference from me, such as when they decide to run off without the rest of the party and get themselves killed. But that's only every now and then. It never really felt like a recurring problem. Overall, the main story plotline isn't that engrossing, but unlike previous games where you're only in charge of your own small team, this time you're in charge of a much larger army and entire organization.
Cementing an alliance with Lady Forsythia of Nevada, your worship. It's become a somewhat delicate task.
The decisions you make are well sorted and easy to manage thanks to a War Council board that lets you choose which zone to send your scouts to next, how we should handle a request for aid, or whether we should be nice or not, etc. Occasionally, you get the opportunity to dish out justice on a more official capacity as you sit on your throne, which you can customize, by the way, and you issue sentences for various crimes. It's a nice touch considering almost all of the people that are brought before you had something to do with a quest you were on previously. In one particular instance, a mayor of a town I was trying to help out left a note of confession regarding a crime from years past. When I came back to speak with him after the quest was over, he was already gone, and all he had left was a confession.
If the mayor has anything to say in his defense, let him speak.
I was able to send out soldiers via the War Council board to locate him. About an hour later, I was informed he had been captured and could stand trial. I headed to the throne room, took my place, and got to revisit the situation with the choice to exile him, release him, or execute him. It was a nice personal touch that really helps draw you into the role. Dragon Age Inquisition is full of moments like this. While I never really felt personally connected with the game's mission overall, I feel personally connected to the members of my team and the path that I'm personally blazing through this world. This decision to make as Inquisitor felt personal because I found this man, spoke to this man, ran all over the map for this man, only to find he'd fled and confessed to the very crime that I was trying to correct. It certainly helps that a good portion of the game's dialogue is also complete with theatrical voiceovers and animations. This seems to be the general pattern for Dragon Age this time around. The world is massive, detailed, and engaging, and even though I couldn't care less about the ultimate goal of my army, I found myself caring very much about the individual lives I encountered and touched. If you've played the previous Dragon Age games, you can import your saved games into this world. If you don't have your saves any longer, there's an interactive storyboard you can follow to re-choose the decisions you made and then import them into this one. While I've not noticed a drastic story change affected by previous games, there are some very unique ways in which old decisions and characters make surprise appearances in this game. It's a nice reminder that you're playing in the same world you've previously helped shape, and the nostalgia is a sweet payoff. Overall, I'm giving Dragon Age Inquisition a 9.7 out of 10. I honestly can't think of much to say against this game. While RPG-style games aren't for everyone, I'd highly recommend checking this out. The worlds are vast and beautiful, there's more content than I can fathom, it's a legit RPG with armor, weapons, and talent trees, the combat is engaging, and the dialogue is well done. My only complaint is the weaker overarching story. If you're a parent looking to buy this for a kid, not much to worry about really. There's your standard hero kills the bad guys, but there's not really any language, gore, or adult themes. There are some modest sex scenes, per se, if you intentionally go that route through a drawn-out love interest subplot with some of the characters, but it's far from a large part of this otherwise 150-ish hour game. Bottom line, buy it, play it, love it. Come on in to Grumpy Bob's Emporium in Maryville, Illinois to buy or trade for your very own copy today.